if I had that kind of debt coming right out of school, you graduate high school, you go to college, it would be astronomical for a 25, 26-year-old to pay back.
It's a competition. Schools are trying to get students because schools have to have tuitions in order to be able to keep their facilities open, to be able to employ staff.
College is definitely not appealing to me right now.
Every year, countless students embark on the journey of higher education, believing it's their path to a brighter future.
College debt is definitely scary. Terrifying is another word.
But the rising cost of college education is a harsh reality.
My debt was $97,000.
Tuition fees, food, housing, textbooks, and many more financial burdens hang on for a long time.
When I went back for my RESA training to lock in my teacher stuff, I had to go back again for another 3 years. So then I tacked on another $30,000. So that's where it got up to the $97,000, and I didn't even have a master's at that point. So most masters were starting at that $90,000, $100,000, $120,000. So I had basically exhausted the degrees versus the status of the degrees, in my opinion.
How can that rising cost of college become attractive to new potential students?
I was looking at being in my 80s before I was going to see that being paid off.
One, you don't really know what you're doing out of high school. And if you go to college, then not only do you not know what you're doing, but you're also taking on a lot of debt. And even if you learn what you're going to do in college, you will be able to pay that debt off, but that's going to take years and years. And it's just a burden to me more than anything else.
You're lucky to get $30,000 a year at the age of 18, 19. So you're looking at having that kind of cost. You have an apartment, a car, you're starting your family, possibly you have bills on those fronts, and you're still carrying over a $400 to possibly $800 monthly fee for the college debt.
Mismanagement is a problem, and one area of concern is the tenure system of professors.
So the tenured position is typically going to be that full contract with the expectation from the university that they're going to be able to keep that person in employment. They're going to probably have to have the highest level of education that's available for that course of study.
A tenured position is a teacher that has gotten to the apex of their career. They have earned it. They have worked hard. They bring a lot of professional clout. They release, works, publications. They do research. And so the college rewards them for that. And the tenured workforce, their job description basically is freedom of thinking, right? So you've earned freedom of thinking without jeopardizing your job or your position.
Sometimes tenured positions can turn into media nightmares and tenured turmoil.
There are many stories about teachers being hired that have no teaching background whatsoever to be the rock star for them, to, again, attract more students. And I'm curious to really, what's the value of that education? I don't know.
We have to engage students, and not just the extraordinary international students who come to SEPA in studying international affairs and policies, but we have to engage American students. We have to figure out how we're going to attract students, not just to SEPA, but to the kinds of offerings that SEPA can make to students across campus. So when we began talking about teaching a class together in the fall, and Karen said, well, what do you think about opening it up to all of the students? I said, well, I don't know. I guess that sounds like a good idea. I have no idea if that's a good idea, but we're about to find out.
If we look at the example of Hillary Clinton, my guess is that the board of directors for that school and the president and the people in those positions saw as much benefit from being able to raise money by having a person in such a position, the ability to be able to have an increased enrollment because of, I guess, the prestige of having such a position, even though most students are never going to have that opportunity to be in the class that's going to be taught by her. It's more of, it's putting that shiny item out there for reach, and that's going to have value for that institution, both financially from donors in the community and from potential students.
The average cost for a tenure employee is triple or more times than the average non-tenured employee. Throughout history, the intersection of governance and religion within the classroom setting has been a source of both enlightenment and contention. The clash between these two powerful forces have sparked debate that illuminates the delicate balance between academic freedom and religious principles.
With Liberty, they incorporate that students are required to open the Bible and provide research from the Bible. It doesn't require a student to have a belief. But at minimum, it gives that there is value in the Bible as a source of reference. And so they're able to incorporate that in. And they have to provide it as a scholarly, sometimes as a scholarly source. So it's not just opening it up, finding a verse, and being able to cite it, but being able to find a verse and be able to reference it to the area of study. And those are for law classes, so that's not always the easiest to do, but it shows that there is value in that for the student. And at minimum, it's going to broaden that student's understanding of the application of that source in current day situations.
The 20th century witnessed significant shifts towards secularization and academic autonomy, yet conflicts persisted, with many incidents revealing that the journey towards harmonizing governance and religious perspectives remained fraught with challenges.
So if I did go to college and I had like $50,000 in debt and it took me like until I was 50 to pay it off, it would feel like I'm not like the owner of myself. I'm owned by the college in a sense, because what I'm working for, like what I've like went to college to learn, I'm continually paying off years, like decades after I learn that skill. So it's like I'm paying for that skill for like half my life, but I can't like use that money that I'm earning to like invest in like a house or a car. Like it's going to college debt instead.
Higher education should be a journey towards a brighter future, not a high-cost, mismanaged experience. Together, we can create a system that truly prepares students for employment and life. Let us embrace the principles of stewardship and ethical responsibility, for they hold the key to unlocking the full potential of education.
So for college to be worth going or appealing to me, it would have to be definitely more affordable than the prices that they have now. And the stuff that I learned there has to be worth my while. I'm not gonna go to a college for like 2 years to learn like okay skills when I could go like straight into the workforce and learn those skills as I go, getting paid instead of paying for those skills.
Yeah, the cost of education keeps going up, and the type of education everybody gets is the same. So there's no improvements in that education that they're getting, but the cost is going up. What's happening here? Right? So we have to find a balance here. We either have to raise the education to an area that it's valued at that cost, or we have to lower that price back down so that the students can have a reasonable lifestyle afterwards, and it doesn't take so long to pay it off.
Most of the college workforce is made up of adjunct instructors, which has even less quality service for the student body.
Hiring someone from industry is difficult. There are not many teachers that leave a career and come over to teach because they're looking at a massive drop in pay. The industry pays better, it always will. It's difficult to get those professional people to move over to an education area or an environment because of that pay scale. So they fill up the colleges with adjunct teachers that do the bare minimum. A lot of them are part-time employees. A lot of them teach at 3 or 4 or 5 different schools in a week. And they don't care about the students, they just care about that paycheck. And the more places they can teach, the higher type of income they're making as an adjunct professor or teacher.
When you hear the term tenure, oftentimes, as an outsider, I guess I would think of it almost as a negative. Sometimes you even think about maybe like associated with like union work, where they're protected in their position, in their employment, and that there's the ability for them to maybe not perform as they had prior to receiving tenure. But I think it's something that's not understood a lot is the requirement for the research that's still required for them.
August 14th, 1971, Palo Alto, California. 12 young men are rounded up from their homes by police, placed under arrest, and brought to a makeshift prison in the basement of Stanford University. It all begins as a study on the psychology of prison life, led by Stanford psychology professor Dr. Philip Zimbardo. 24 volunteers, 12 guards, and 12 prisoners have agreed to spend the next 2 weeks recreating life in a correctional facility.
This is unbelievable. On the first day, I said, this is not going to work. I mean, the guards felt awkward giving orders, and they'd say, okay, line up, repeat your numbers, and the prisoners start giggling.
Hey, I don't want anybody laughing. 3, 2, 1.
And then a very interesting thing happened. Dave Eshelman, who the prisoners named John Wayne, like he's a Wild West cowboy, he begins to be more extreme.
I decided that I would become the worst, most intimidating, cruel prison guard that I could possibly be.
So the guards' authority was challenged right off the bat. And the guards had to decide how they were going to handle that, and they had to decide it without our input. I mean, again, this was not a Milgram study in which we were standing over them telling them what to do. And they began to see the prisoners' behavior as a kind of an affront to their authority.
Nobody was telling me I shouldn't be doing this. The professor is the authority here. He's the prison warden. He's not stopping me.
This is unbelievable. They took our clothes.
Hands off the door. There was the first evening a kind of rebellion that took place.
The prisoners are booked and stripped nude. They're no longer individuals, forced to wear smocks, stocking caps, and shackles, identified only by their prisoner numbers.
It evolved into a confrontation. The guards showing the prisoners who's boss.
Down.
The guards quickly adapt to their new profession. Given anonymity by their mirrored sunglasses, some of them start to control the meager food rations, restrict prisoners' bathroom use, and as tensions rise, so do their cruel methods.
And they don't even need this experiment at Dr. Zimbardo.
Within just 6 days of the planned 2-week study, conditions are so bad that the entire operation is shut down.
I'm inside. Out! Out now! God damn it.
The study makes international headlines. Zimbardo's fame skyrockets, and his conclusions are taught to students worldwide.
In the realm of higher education, effective collaboration among faculty, administrators, and governing board members is paramount when confronting major campus issues or crises.
I use religion in education, but I don't broadcast it. I use Christian beliefs because it's needed. In a secondary education environment, there are many issues day to day that need a Christian standpoint, a point of reference. And you can't like forcefully put religion into a classroom because you're persuading. You can be seen as persuading, but The way that I talk to somebody and the way that I change my tone to somebody, or the way that I might help them get through some thinking, those are the Christian values that I'm talking about. I don't say that because this is my belief system, this is how I'm talking to you. I would never say that. But some people come from many different backgrounds, and understanding a variety of backgrounds takes a Christian understanding. So you have to have that. You have to have that ethical ability to jump from, I'm talking to an atheist, I'm talking to a Catholic, I'm talking to a Methodist, and I'm talking to someone Muslim or Jewish. So I have to intermingle between all of those, and I have to figure out their backgrounds, how to communicate with them, and I have to understand, those values. So yes, there's a large place for it, but it's on the business side of it. It is never going to be on the student side of it.
This cooperative approach, known as shared governance, serves as the cornerstone of decision-making process that impact the institution and its stakeholders. In the present era, many institutions strive to strike a balance between academic freedom and religious values. Policies have evolved to support diverse perspectives while safeguarding the inclusive nature of education.
Yeah, the evaluation of employees it's a huge task for any organization, whether that's a factory, whether that's a hospital, whether it's an area of education, academia. And so when you look at that, it's tough to make it apply for every single aspect. So especially like when you look at some of the college degrees that are going toward, say for example, I'm going to go look at my area of study, which would be criminal justice. It's, you take somebody and it's how do you truly evaluate their performance and their area of research? Are they providing a service to the community? Are they working with law enforcement agencies? Are they working with the criminal justice profession? And I don't think that there's going to be a lot of comfort from those institutions to be able to really have a strong understanding of what does that industry have as reasonable expectations for professionals from that industry in order to be able to evaluate their own professors, because they have, when you think about a university, you have professors that are covering every single profession that we have in the United States. And it's going to be impossible for those HR departments to have a true understanding of what those areas require. And it's going to become a process of quote unquote checking the boxes that they just completed so much outside study, coursework, research, and the real value of it's not going to be known.
However, controversies riddled our society on and off campuses, demonstrating that achieving this equilibrium remains an ongoing process.
I feel being hired as a rock star to boost student population is unfair. It's unethical, it's unfair to students, and I feel like it's I feel like they're taken advantage of. I feel like that's the whole situation. A lot of young kids don't even know what type of loan they're getting into. They don't understand how to pay that back. They don't understand how it works. They just think, oh yeah, I'm getting money to go to school. So there's not a lot of knowledge in the population of new potential students on the side of just the amount of money they're getting ready to spend and how long it's going to take them to pay that off.
The floodgates are wide open. And when it comes to inviting the many different debatable topics into curriculum, creationism, prayer, politics, sexual orientation, and many more issues that have clouded the purpose of education.
So you look at a place like, for example, Liberty University, and you're going to have these outside influences, and having a balance between understanding the respect for people as individuals needs to be a priority. An institution shouldn't be required to appease sections of society if it's against that organization's beliefs. They should be able to have those stances and be able to hold those as standards within their university. I've never seen an institution, even such as Liberty, sit and hold it against someone for their beliefs, but at the same time, Liberty is going to not say that means that we're going to change what our beliefs are. And they should be able to have those, I'm going to describe it as rights as an organization, to be able to have that independence from those outside influences.
A little over 60% do not have tenure. They've gotten rid of tenure because it costs too much. There's bad media attention. There's no value to it. And they do hire more adjunct teachers. But again, the value of that school is going down because they don't have those tenured individuals, or they have a plethora of, teachers that are just trying to struggle and get by. So they don't have the time to focus and devote their life to that college or that university to make that environment very valuable.
A lot of colleges and universities have gotten rid of their tenure programs. Still, in the United States, 46% of all colleges and universities use the tenure structure for their teacher faculty.
In the classroom, that world can sometimes become that teacher's world, and they can become such an influence and level of control that they're not willing to see the view of others, and that they control that. And I think that's it's a negative impression, but it's something that is based on evidence. It's not maybe common, but we're going to hear about those instances in which it does happen. And I think that students can be intimidated in order to be able to speak against the instructor, especially if the testing or the way that they're evaluated is in somewhat of a subjective manner. They're going to feel that they have to be able to respond in agreement with the instructor, whether that's a professor or a high school instructor. And when you get into that tenured spot, again, you're getting into the position where they're going to feel that level of protection, that they can run their classroom the way that they choose fit, whether it would align with what that organization would see as reasonable or not.
When professors take ethical stewardship to heart, students flourish. A strong work ethic can do wonders in preparing a new confident workforce. By instilling stewardship principles in educators and students alike, we can all shape a better university and college environment.
I think that model is, I think it's barbaric right now in today's times. Students want to feel like they have ownership. They want to be part of the curriculum. They want to be part of that environment. They want to be engaged with those professors and those teachers. So a tenured professor that hides all day and works on research doesn't really build that kind of nurturing environment for the students that are paying such a high dollar for that education. So I think tenure should be reworked. I think it actually needs to be reevaluated, and there needs to be a lot of checks and balances that college and university can put in place to help protect it. In past, a lot of tenured positions have brought horrible media press, and it has basically turned students away. And I think we need to bring those rock stars back, and I think we need to give them that pay raise, and I think we need to share that exploration with them. So for instance, if you're a tenured teacher, you should check in with administrative staff and you say, this is the areas I want to explore, which they kind of do that right now. But let those administrative staff discuss how we're going to do that and what kind of press is going to come out of this. So they should evaluate every decision a little bit more rather than just allowing the tenured professor to continue without any disregard to the college as a whole.
The Association of Governing Boards of Universities and Colleges, AGB, emphasizes the need for integral leadership. In their publication, Top 10 Strategic Issues for Boards in the 2013 and 14, AGB defines integral leadership as collaborative yet decisive leadership that fosters a strong partnership between boards and presidents. In the realm of higher education, effective collaboration among faculty, administrators, and governing board members is paramount when confronting major campus issues or crises. Shared governance entails a collaborative framework where faculty, administrators, and governing board members participate in deliberations, ensuring that multiple viewpoints shape decisions. Shared governance must adapt to this new reality, incorporating agile strategies for addressing misinformation, engaging with concerned parties, and mitigating potential escalation.
Yes, everybody naturally is going to start to decrease in their value if they're not being monitored. Even if somebody has made it as professional as a tenured position, they are slowly going to go in the other direction. So if I had tenure in today's current understanding of a tenured position, I definitely would slip. I know I would.
A now dead form of leadership within colleges and universities may need revisited. From a biblical worldview, the principles of love, compassion, and wisdom serve as beacons of guidance in times of turmoil. Proverbs 11:14, where there is no guidance, a people fails, but in the abundance of counselors there is safety. This message echoes the essence of shared governance, underscoring the importance of collective wisdom in decision-making.
I've worked in a career center, and I feel like the career center model is what needs to be transferred into higher education. I think if they can figure that out and put that in the higher education or post-secondary environments, that'll be more valuable to students. Just looking at the numbers over the last 9 years in secondary education in a career center, we've seen massive turnout with new students and everybody coming in. Obviously, each year it decreases. Oh, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to go to college. No, they're saying, I want to go to work. I want to go to work.
Adjunct teachers are not offered benefits, and in most work-related situations, their salaries range $30,000 to sometimes $80,000.
In this day and age, they have to have more and more students come in so they can pay to continue to be a thing.
The lifelong threat of looming debt is not appeasing. Rising costs, underperforming teachers, scandal with tenured teachers, bad press, overwhelming lifelong debt.
So if I were to create my own school, I think it would be similar to a career center.
College is no longer the desired path for employers when considering new hires.
There would be no academics. It would be just specifically for the filmmaking field.
I remember I was so excited about this. Florida, the state of Florida, passed regulation to decrease the cost of 4-year degree bachelors in all of the state or community colleges. It was a mandate. And I went down there one summer. I drove around. I visited colleges. I asked about that. I wanted to check and see if it was real. It was real. You're looking at a 4-year degree at that time. This was in 2016, 2017, for $17,000, $20,000. A 4-year degree, and I walked through some of the media buildings, and it was amazing. So you had all of this really cool tech, cool environment. I talked to the teachers. It was amazing. And I wish I had known that or been in a place to take advantage of that and not have such the debt that I have now. I don't know how many other states do that, but I know Florida did this, and it was an effort to try to decrease the cost of college, but still make it worth the education that they were getting when they left.
I would say for some people it is a pathway to success, but not for everyone. But what many high schoolers are faced with is a lot of pressure to go to college because college is seen as success. If you have a degree, then you're basically considered quote unquote successful, even though you might be $50,000 in debt, versus if you didn't go to college and started working, then you would be $50,000 out of debt in a sense, and you would be able to spend that money on what you want to spend it on, like a better house, better car, family.
The average cost increase for a tenure position at a college is between $150,000 to $250,000. Tenure employees average less work in a day per the average adjunct professor. These burdens, if continued, will not end well for higher education. What if colleges and universities revisit tenure employees? Can tenure rock stars bring in eager learners? How does ethical stewardship and Christian beliefs fit in higher education? Are we at a point it is necessary to change the ways of freedom of thinking? Maybe it's time to start looking at change.